All right, buckle up, because today we are taking a deep dive into some seriously mind-bending stuff.
No.
Quantum mechanics.
I'm excited to dig into this.
You sent over this incredible speech, and wow, it connects quantum physics with, like, personal power. It's wild.
Yeah, it really gets you thinking about the potential we all have, just waiting to be unlocked.
So where do we even begin? The speech starts off talking about atoms.
Right, and how much energy is packed into those tiny things.
It even compares an atom to an atomic bomb.
It's a powerful analogy. The speech argues that the same force holding those protons and neutrons together in the atom's nucleus, that's the same force unleashed in a nuclear explosion.
So you're saying that, like, every atom has that much potential energy inside.
That's the point the speech is making, yeah. It really underscores how powerful those fundamental forces of nature truly are.
It's kind of unsettling when you think about it like that. And the speech mentions there have been almost 3,000 nuclear detonations since World War II.
It makes you wonder what kind of impact that's having on, well, everything.
Yeah, like what are we doing to the planet, to the universe even?
The speech argues that actions have consequences that go way beyond what we typically think about. And when you're talking about something as powerful as a nuclear explosion...
Those ripples must be huge.
Exactly. It even suggests that those actions could be impacting the fabric of space and time itself.
Okay, now that is a mind-blowing thought. But how does this connect to us? Like here, on a Tuesday afternoon?
Well, the speech argues that we've only just begun to understand these fundamental forces.
And we've only tapped into a tiny bit of that power, right? Like with electricity.
Exactly. We use electromagnetism to power our homes, our phones, everything. But the speech argues there's so much more potential we haven't even begun to explore.
So we're missing out on, like, a whole other level of reality, basically.
It's possible, and this is where it gets really interesting. The speech proposes this idea that energy and information are two sides of the same coin.
Wait, what? How does that work?
You know how light can act like a wave and a particle at the same time?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
The speech suggests that this principle, this wave-particle duality, might apply to everything in the universe.
Okay, now you've officially lost me.
Let me try to explain it another way. Think of it like a book.
Okay, a book. I'm not sure I'm following the analogy.
So think about, you can hold a book in your hands, right? You can feel the weight of it, the texture of the pages.
Yeah, the physical book itself.
Exactly. That's like the particle aspect. But a book is also full of information, stories, ideas, characters.
Right, the content.
And that's the wave aspect. Both are true, but how you choose to perceive the book changes your experience of it.
Okay, I think I see where you're going with this. So if I'm really engrossed in a book, the story, the message, the physical book itself kind of fades away.
Exactly. It's like your focus determines what becomes real for you in that moment. That's what the speech calls collapsing the wave function. The observer, in this case you, plays a role in how reality manifests.
Whoa. Okay, so then what happens when the physical book is gone?
Like if you were to, say, leave it out in the rain.
Well, yeah, or,
And this is where it gets really interesting. The speech suggests that the information, in a way, might still exist. It's like imagining a giant universal library where every piece of information ever created has its own unique address.
Hold on, are you saying there's a cosmic Dewey Decimal System out there?
It's a fun way to think about it. Now, the speech acknowledges that retrieving that information might be incredibly difficult, maybe impossible, like trying to piece together a water-damaged book.
But you're saying it's still out there, somewhere.
The speech suggests that information might persist within the fabric of the universe, even if we can't access it easily.
So then, is our concept of time completely off? I mean, if information never truly disappears...
That's a huge question. The speech suggests our linear view of time past, present, future could be a bit limiting. Think about this. A radio wave from, say, a 1940s broadcast is still traveling through space. For us, that's the past. But for someone light years away, receiving that signal for the first time right now, it's their present.
Wow, yeah. That messes with your head a bit.
The speech argues that from a higher dimensional perspective, time might look more like a tapestry of interconnected events, all happening simultaneously.
This is making my brain hurt a little. But it's fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Still, it feels very theoretical. How do we actually apply any of this to our everyday lives? Okay, so we've tumbled down the quantum rabbit hole. All this talk of wave functions and universal libraries is blowing my mind, but how do we actually use any of this? We're not going to, like, bend spoons with our thoughts, are we?
Well, maybe not spoons, but the speech suggests we might have more influence over our reality than we think.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of influence are we talking about?
It keeps coming back to this idea of aligning our energy with what we want to create. And it all starts with gratitude.
Gratitude. Okay, so focusing on the positive, I get that. But how does that tie into all this quantum stuff?
The speech uses this analogy of tuning a radio. When we're focused on what we lack, on what's not going right, it's like we're tuned into a frequency of scarcity.
So if I'm constantly stressing about bills, I'm tuned into a frequency of not enough money.
Exactly. But when we cultivate gratitude for what we do have, even small things, it's like we're shifting that dial, tuning into a frequency of abundance.
So like, instead of stressing about bills, I should be thankful for having a roof over my head.
Precisely. It's about shifting your perspective. And this is where it gets even more interesting. The speech introduces this concept called the 18-second rule.
The 18-second rule. Okay, I've got to know more. What is that?
It suggests that focusing on a desire for a full 18 seconds, and I mean really focusing without any doubt or anxiety, can be enough to start manifesting it into reality.
18 seconds. Yeah, honestly, that feels like a lifetime for someone who checks their phone every 5 minutes.
It's definitely a challenge, and the speech acknowledges that. Our subconscious beliefs can really hold us back. Imagine wanting a new car, but deep down, believing you don't deserve it or could never afford it.
Right, like self-sabotage almost.
Exactly. It's like hitting the brakes before you even start the engine.
So how do we get rid of those subconscious roadblocks?
That's the million-dollar question, right? The speech emphasizes self-awareness as a starting point. Pay attention to those negative thought patterns and consciously choose to replace them with more empowering ones.
Easier said than done, I'm sure. One thing that struck me about the speech is that it seems pretty critical of traditional education, like we're being deliberately kept in the dark about all this. Is that a bit extreme?
It's definitely a provocative statement. The speech argues that some systems, certain power structures, might benefit from keeping people feeling powerless.
Because if everyone realized their potential,
Well, think about it. What if everyone started questioning the status quo, demanding more from themselves and the world around them?
that could be pretty disruptive.
Exactly. But it's not about tearing things down. The speech is ultimately about empowerment. It's about recognizing the potential we all have and taking responsibility for our own realities.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. For someone just dipping their toes into all this, what's the most important thing to remember?
Keep an open mind. This speech offers one perspective, one interpretation of these complex ideas. But ultimately, it's about asking questions and seeing where they lead you. What if we really are all interconnected through this quantum field? What does that mean for us as individuals, as a species?
Now, those are some really big questions, and that's what this deep dive is all about, right? Exploring these big, mind-bending ideas and seeing how they connect to our lives. So whether you're ready to start manifesting your dream reality or just have some new food for thought, we hope you enjoyed the journey. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and as always, keep diving deeper.